I'm young still, relatively speaking, in those days, and I believe I can do anything and think surely I can successfully build my own house and outbuildings. Surely I can be tender lover and faithful husband to my mate and raise children and garden, cut and split my own firewood, play several musical instruments, pursue degrees in higher education, write, teach, hunt, fish, and gather, raise some animals for food, chickens, and others for pleasure, bird dogs. And I've taken on, among other atavistic pursuits, the raising and training of a team of Belgian horses, a couple of fillies I buy at auction, which I name Ginny and Rose, for Ginny is a pale blonde, as in clear as gin, and Rose is red. It started thus. One hot summer day in haying season, I drove a friend and neighbor's team of 2,000-pound draft horses pulling a hay rake, watched the teeth of the side delivery rake lay out fragrant rounded rows of new-cut hay, and felt something like a current of electricity come up the leather lines from the snaffle bits in the horses' mouths and into my hands, an experience so singular and so pleasurable, I got it into my head I should have such horses myself. I fall in love so easily. I'm in love with my wife and my children and my critters and my acres and the weathers and the seasons and with my place on earth. And I love the fillies as they become full-grown mares. Love the smell of hay on a bitter cold winter's night as I feed it out. And the steamy sweet breath of the horses as they chew the dried grass and clover. And often I lean against one or the other of them as they feed, stay with them for long minutes and feel a deep peace. Workhorses, yes? Yes, because I work for them. I cut and peel fence posts and dig post holes and set posts and string wire and build a corral and construct a small barn. And each July I make hay. Calluses thick as cowhide form on my hands, and all the while the fillies eat and grow until they weigh, each literally a ton. And here's the thing. Every time I'm away from them for more than an overnight, something goes haywire with those horses. A gate or a fence wire or a fence post fails, and they run free so that Lori, my wife and true love, who is wiser than I when it comes to fending off impulses of the sort I so frequently surrender to, who is no horse wrangler and wishes never to be one, is left at home to deal with such. On a warm summer evening during this period of our lives, Lori and I and our two beautiful kids drive southwest along the north shore of Lake Superior toward Duluth, headed home after visiting Lori's dad on his place near Hovland, Minnesota. The drive itself is exceptionally beautiful, and we're tired, but happily on our way home, which, after 4 hours and more on the road, we reach as the last of the day's light fades to discover our fences in ruin and the horses nowhere to be seen. Ginny and Rose, big-time respecters of fences, cannot be responsible for such widespread destruction, can they? The gate has been crashed and fence wire has been dragged about, fence post broken. I hustle the family into the house, grab my big machine aluminum police flashlight, pull on knee-high rubber boots, and dash back into the gathering darkness outside just as a boom of thunder sounds from the northwest. A sudden flash as lightning illuminates the world in immediate and shocking detail. From the barn, I grab a couple of lead ropes, and from the grain bin, scoop a couple of 10 coffee cans worth of oats into a 5-gallon bucket. Then run to the car, its engine still ticking with heat from the drive home, jump in and roar out my west driveway and across the county road into my neighbor's big hayfield, a piece of ground which I covet, which one day will be mine, but not today. I park on the field and step out of the car. The grass is still unmown. It waves and flattens as a sudden gust of wind bursts upon it, and upon me too. And rain begins immediately to slash across the beams of my headlights. I'm wet to the skin in an instant, but I see, across the field, 2 sets of eyes aglow. With my bucket and ropes, I start across the field, holding my flashlight high and trained on the eyes of Ginny and Rose, 20 acres of uncut hay between us, when a bolt of lightning flashes. And I can see them clearly for an instant out there, clear as gin and red as a rose, yes, but something else is out there too. Something large and dark and solid with red eyes off to one side of them. The big mares know my call and my whistle, and the sound of whole oats rattled in a bucket, even from such a distance, and they start toward me as thunder crashes and lightning flashes. I hold the flashlight as high as I can over my head, the better to see my horses, and it occurs to me all at once, I'm a perfect lightning rod out there on that flat field, the highest point out there, tipped by an oversized aluminum flashlight as if I'm volunteering for electrocution or daring the gods to strike me. But if the horses come to me through the rain and flashing lightning, and if they lower their heads to get a bite of oats from the bucket I carry, I can snap lead ropes to their halters and lead them back to the barn and safety. I can see to the fence in the morning. They begin to canter toward me, faster and faster, but the something else out there, whatever it is, starts towards me as well. It runs on 4 legs like a horse, but lower to the ground, dark and compact, and advances toward me across the field at a stiff trot, so that just as Ginny and Rose, nickering with anticipation, come into the full light of my car's headlights, that other thing nears me close enough that I spy its horns, a red-eyed beast. And before my lovely mares can reach the bucket of oats in my hand, the bull, for that's what it is, I see clearly at last, bellows and tosses its horns so that the horses panic and break into full gallop and rush past me fast as lightning and out of the field and onto the county road. They thunder away to the west. Before the bull can reach me, I jump back into my car, a mid-sized SUV, jam it into reverse and back onto the road, point the prow west after the horses and slam it into gear. Driven rain falls in pencils across my headlights, but soon I'm in hot pursuit of the horses, 2,000 pounds apiece, flying fast as they can, ahead of me, throwing up clots of Class 5 gravel as they tear westward. I have a sudden, horrifying vision of them flashing onto the county highway less than 2 miles away now, just as a passenger vehicle streaking along at 60 miles an hour reaches the intersection of the paved highway and my gravel road. I'm now just behind the mares, but this will never do, I tell myself. I've got to pass them. Have you ever tried to pass a team of galloping Belgian horses in the dark of night through a thunderstorm on a sodden county road? No? Brothers and sisters, I tell you truly, it isn't easy. I pass on their left. Good, no? Through the passenger side window, I see as I pass them the whites of their eyes, their nostrils flared, their ears flattened, tails streaming behind them, but I get past them. I speed up the road, put some distance between us, then execute a bootlegger's turn, dim my lights, and when they get close, hit the horn. That stops them. They whirl and flee in the opposite direction. I follow, but more slowly now. I nearly catch them when they turn into a neighbor's driveway, but they spook at the last minute, back onto the road, and head east at least toward home. At the entrance to a farm on the west side of the creek near home, they canter into the driveway and farmyard. And this time, I have wisdom enough to park on the road, and I walk into the yard carrying my bucket of oats and the lead ropes. I speak to the horses as calmly as I can manage. Come, girls, and shake the oats in the bucket. They come shyly toward me, and when they lower their great heads to eat, I snap the lead ropes to the rings on their halters. A light comes on at the farmhouse door, and out comes my neighbor. Who's there? What's going on? Horses got out, I say. Some bull is terrorizing the neighborhood and took down my fences. Oh no, he says, that's my kid's bull. He just bought it, brought it home to breed his cows. Got out right away. Listen, he says, just open the gate there and let your horses out into my pasture. They'll be safe there and we can sort things out in the morning. This is the kindest, most sensible suggestion I've heard in a long time, even from inside my own head. I lead the horses to the pasture gate, open it, and turn them out there. The rain falls more gently now. The thunder moved away to the southwest, to the southeast. There's a mere murmur. Okay then, my neighbor says, see you in the morning. At home, in my sleeping house, I strip off my dripping clothes, dry myself with a towel my hair, put on my bathrobe, and climb the ladder to the sleeping loft where my true love lies aslumber in our bed. The adrenaline rush I felt is dissipating now, and I'm suddenly so tired I need to lie down. The window above my side of the bed is open, and the sweet smell of summer night after a rain comes through it. I open my side of the bed to lay my head on my good feather pillow to discover the rain has soaked it through. I won't repeat what I said to myself there in the dark, but I might cite it as evidence that, in spite of my desires, I can't quite do everything.